Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, if you feel like your nervous system has just been running nonstop lately, like a 247 marathon,
Oh, yeah.
you're definitely not alone. We seem to be living in this age of unbelievable anxiety.
It's true. And the numbers, they really back that up. It's kind of staggering, actually.
How staggering are we talking?
Well, research shows the global rate of anxiety disorders jumped by like 25%.
Oh, 25%.
Yeah, just in the first year of the COVID pandemic. And by 2020, almost half, think about that, 47% of people surveyed said they had regular bouts of chronic anxiety.
Almost half the population.
It's definitely the most common mental illness across the globe now.
That really does feel like a kind of inner pandemic, doesn't it? A collective crisis.
It does. But, the sources we've been looking into for this deep dive, they offer a pretty profound shift in how to think about it.
Okay, how so?
They argue that this chronic anxiety, it isn't some personal failing,
Yeah.
or like some broken switch inside us.
Right, not a defect.
Exactly. They're saying it's actually a perfectly healthy, totally normal response.
A healthy response. To what?
To an extremely abnormal lifestyle and culture. Our way of living is unusual, evolutionarily speaking.
Okay, that's the core idea we need to unpack then. So we're going to explore the structures that kind of keep that fear locked down, this anxiety spiral the sources talk about.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
But maybe more importantly, we also want to map out the path away from that, towards what they call the creativity spiral.
The creativity spiral. I like the sound of that.
Yeah, it's about moving towards building a life that feels meaningful. They use this beautiful term for it, a sanity quilt.
A sanity quote. Okay, let's start with the trap then. This idea that our culture itself is generating the anxiety. The sources mention weird cultures and this thing called the iron cage.
Right, so WEIRD is an acronym. It stands for Western, Educated, Industrialized, Rich, and Democratic.
Okay.
And these societies, structurally, they really prioritize the ways the brain's left hemisphere works. Things like logic, control, linear thinking.
And getting stuff right. Material wealth.
Exactly, maximizing material wealth. The sources kind of boil it down to just grabbing stuff.
But hang on, why does focusing on, getting ahead and being in control, why does that create chronic anxiety? That sounds like the path to success for many people.
Well, it creates a state of sort of constant hypervigilance. The left brain, it loves things that are predictable, man-made. Think systems, spreadsheets, hierarchies.
Right, order.
Yeah, order. And our whole economic system, modern capitalism, it runs on constant measuring, comparing, competing. So to keep your spot in that system, to keep grabbing stuff.
You have to be constantly alert, always controlled.
Precisely. And that intense focus on controlling what happens next, that's the very engine that fuels the anxiety spiral.
And once you're caught in that spiral, the left brain actually has a mechanism, a neurological one, that keeps you stuck there.
It does, yeah. It uses something uniquely human, our ability to use language and our imagination.
How does that work?
Well, think about an animal like an antelope. It sees the lion, runs away, and then if it escapes, it calms right down almost immediately.
Okay.
But we can take a small threat, maybe even just an imagined one, and use our words, our thoughts, to keep that fear response going indefinitely.
Ah, so we replay the what-ifs, the mistake.
Exactly. We run the scenarios, we worry, we analyze. We never quite let ourselves drop back to feeling safe, even when we actually are safe physically.
Yeah.
We're just sitting ducks for chronic worry.
And then this personal anxiety sort of feeds back into the wider culture.
Yes, it becomes this societal feedback loop. The culture puts pressure on us of, perform better, achieve more, watch this alarming news.
Which makes us anxious.
And then our collective anxiety reinforces those same fearful structures in society. It's this unregulated cycle just spinning faster and faster between us and the world around us.
The sources mentioned an example, Nikki, the lawyer.
Yeah, Nikki, successful Manhattan lawyer, looks the part, Versace suit, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But inside, she's just drowning in anxiety, astronomical levels.
And if her doctor just says, oh, you have anxiety, here's a pill, like fixing a flat tire.
Right. That misses the whole point the sources are making. Her anxiety isn't the malfunction. It's the correct signal.
The warning light on the dashboard.
Exactly. It's screaming that her lifestyle, this high-pressure, modern way of living, is just completely foreign to how humans evolved. It's unsustainable.
That's what the sociologist Max Weber called the iron cage of rationalism.
That's the term. A system designed for pure efficiency and profit, not really for, supporting messy, creative, sensitive human beings.
Okay, so if the trap is that left brain obsession with control, then the escape has to involve shifting away from that.
Towards the right brain, yeah. Towards its capacity for curiosity rather than control.
Tell me more about how the right brain helps us escape.
Well, what's fascinating is how the right hemisphere works. It doesn't really do linear analysis or track time in the same way. So it mostly perceives right now, the present moment.
So if there's no danger right now,
It just drops the fear. It's not wired to worry about controlling the future. Instead, its strength is in synthesizing, connecting things, harmonizing ideas, people, actions, often in really original ways.
and that defines the creativity spiral, where anxiety shuts down creativity, the right brain, by dropping fear, actually sparks it.
Precisely. It opens up space for exploration, for creation. And the practical way to encourage this shift, to get there, is learning what the sources call amygdala whispering.
Amygdala whispering. So talking to our primal fear center.
Kinda, yeah. It's about calming that inner anxiety creature, that basic fear response, but not by fighting it or ordering it around.
How then?
By giving it what it actually needs, which is a sense of quiet safety. It needs soothing, not force.
That makes me think of that story about the FBI negotiator Chris Voss.
Oh yeah, the hostage situation.
Right, dealing with that terrorist, Abu Sabaya. Voss coached his colleague, Benji, to use these really counterintuitive methods, soft voice, really listening, showing empathy.
Exactly. They weren't trying to overpower the kidnapper's fear. They were actively calming it down.
And it worked.
It worked because they were essentially whispering to his triggered amygdala. And the sources say our own anxiety creature, inside all of us, responds the same way. It calms down when it feels stillness, space, like it's being understood, which is the total opposite of what the left brain usually does, shouting demands at it.
Okay, so how do we apply that to ourselves? What are the actual techniques, the whispering tools?
They're surprisingly simple, actually. And they work by interrupting that feedback loop. The first one is the sigh.
Just sighing. I always thought that meant frustration or sadness.
It can, but a deliberate, deep physiological sigh sends a really powerful, immediate signal to your vagus nerve. It basically tells your nervous system, okay, you're safe now. It acts like a circuit breaker.
Huh. Okay, what's next?
Softening your eye focus.
Softening my... How does that work?
Well, when we're anxious, our eyes tend to dart around, focusing sharply, scanning for threats. It's called threat tracking.
Right, I do that.
So if you consciously soften your gaze, maybe look in some empty space or just relax your peripheral vision, deliberately unfocus a bit, it reduces anxiety almost instantly.
Why so fast? What's the connection?
It's physiological. The muscles around your eyes are directly linked to your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, through the vagus nerve and other pathways. Softening your gaze basically tells your brain, no predator here, not tracking threats. You shift from hunter mode to, peaceful observer mode.
Wow. Okay, sighing, soft eyes. And the third one, acceptance. That sounds like the hardest one. Just accepting the anxiety.
It can feel that way, but it's crucial. Because often the biggest fuel for the anxiety spiral is actually the fear of the fear itself.
Worrying about being anxious makes you more anxious.
Exactly. So when you practice acceptance, just noticing the anxiety creature, allowing it to be there exactly as it is without fighting it or trying to fix it or figure out why it's there, you remove that whole second layer of panic.
And the creature calms down because you're not agitated by it anymore.
That's the idea. It senses you're not treating it like an enemy, so it starts to settle.
Okay, so mastering that calm is key. But then there's the next challenge, escaping that iron cage economy you mentioned, the one that seems to demand our fear and compliance. It feels terrifying for most people to step away from the seeming security of a single job, that rigid pyramid structure.
It absolutely does feel terrifying. Our culture drills that fear into us. But the sources argue we need to shift our thinking from a pyramid model to more of an ecosystem model.
An economic ecosystem, like the multi-hyphen method. Is that just about side hustles?
It's deeper than just side hustles, though they can be part of it. It's really about applying ecological principles. Think about the core fear in the pyramid model. If that one job, that one industry goes bust, your whole financial world collapses.
Right, single point of failure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ecosystem model, or the multi-hyphen method, it's fundamentally about distributing that risk. It's like a natural hedge.
Okay, explain that fluidity more.
Well, a natural ecosystem, like a rainforest, it thrives because things are always changing. Different parts wax and wane. The jungle doesn't collapse if one type of flower has a bad season, because hundreds of others are blooming.
So, applied to income.
It means earning money from multiple sources, ideally ones that feel authentic to you. So if one source dips for a while, Maybe a freelance client dries up, or you lose passion for one project, another source can naturally grow, or you can intentionally nurture it. The income shifts based on interest and opportunity, not just rigid obligation.
Which reduces that constant pressure and hypervigilance.
That's the hope. You're not solely dependent on one precarious thing.
The sources had some great examples, right? David Sedaris.
Yeah, Sedaris is fascinating. Hugely successful writer, famous, wealthy. Yet one of his main, very public activities is picking up trash along roadsides for miles every day.
Which seems eccentric.
Maybe. But his whole career is proof that his success came from leaning into his unique interests and quirks, not by climbing some standard corporate ladder. He writes funny essays, he apparently enjoys cleaning houses, he does the road cleaning. He just kept doing the things that genuinely interested him, his creator self.
And that authenticity attracted his audience, his ecosystem.
It seems so. He became the center of this abundant network because he was just being himself, putting his unique creations out there.
And then there's Emma Gannon, who really champions this multi-hyphen idea. Podcasting, teaching online, Substack.
Right, and she talks openly about shifting her focus. She mentioned how when her podcast wasn't feeling like her main passion point anymore, she didn't just force herself to keep grinding at it in the same way.
She adapted.
Yeah, she adapted. She leaned more into her Substack, turned up the volume on that income stream, that ability to consciously shift where you put your energy based on genuine desire and curiosity. That's how you weave that sanity quilt.
The sanity quilt. I love that image. A life purpose built from, what did the sources call it, a ragbag of curiosities.
Yeah, the things we just naturally collect over time because they interest us. It's not usually one big grand plan discovered overnight. It's more like gradually stitching together these different patches, the things that light you up.
That leads to the story of Marielle, the school psychologist. She felt stuck, right? Financially safer in her steady but stressful job.
Exactly. She really believed that safety equaled predictability, even if it meant low pay and high stress. The idea of an abundant, less predictable ecosystem felt dangerous to her.
So what was the assignment that shifted her perspective? It was something really simple, wasn't it?
Incredibly simple. Her assignment was just to put out birdseed. Consistently. Every day.
Put out birdseed. How did that help?
Well, she did it. And pretty soon, this little ecosystem literally sprang up in her yard. First sparrows, then doves. Eventually, even coyotes and javelinas started showing up nearby, drawn by the life the seeds supported. And watching this, she had this realization. She saw that by offering something genuinely nourishing and authentic, in this case, birdseed, but metaphorically, her own creative gifts, she naturally attracted other beings who needed that nourishment.
So offering value attracts, well, value in return. Compensation, connection.
That was the principle she grasped. It taught her to trust that if she created something valuable from her authentic self, the ecosystem would support her. And that trust gave her the courage to leave her job and eventually build a really successful learning center for kids.
Wow. So that leap from the perceived safety of the cage to trusting the ecosystem, it really requires tapping into creativity. And play, you mentioned play is important.
Play is absolutely essential. It's not just fluff, it's a vital neurological tool. Studies show doing something creative, even just drawing for like 45 minutes, significantly lowers cortisol, the stress hormone.
Okay, lower stress. But you also mentioned dedicated play.
Yeah, dedicated play is when you're striving to get better at something, aiming for mastery, but you're doing it in a spirit of fun and exploration, not drudgery.
And that's more effective.
Incredibly effective. The research suggests that when you learn a new skill through play, it can take as few as 10 or 20 repetitions to build that new neural connection, the synapse.
Okay. And compared to normal practice?
Compared to maybe 400 repetitions if you're learning through stressful, ordinary rote practice.
40 times faster.
40 times faster. Play supercharges learning.
So we combine that playfulness with the deep calm from the amygdala whispering, and that helps us connect with this inner core, the sources call the self, with a capital S.
That's the idea. The self is seen as this core of wisdom and strength within us that often gets obscured by all the noise of anxiety and cultural conditioning.
And this self has specific qualities.
Yes, they list 8 C qualities: calmness, clarity, confidence, curiosity, courage, compassion, connectedness, and creativity.
Those sound like the resources we need?
They are the resources. They're inherent, but the anxiety spiral tends to block our access to them.
And when we do operate from that place, from the self, using creativity and curiosity, the results can feel almost magical because they're not forced.
Exactly. They feel different because they're not coming from that left brain need to control everything. They arise more organically. And this connects to a really key concept, autopoiesis.
Autopoiesis. Okay, what is that?
It's basically the property of any living system, including us, that allows it to maintain itself, to renew itself, to self-organize.
Like healing or growing?
Yeah, it's that inherent intelligence in life. And the sources suggest that when we align our lives with our genuine curiosity and passion, when we calm the anxiety, we provide the right conditions for our own autopoiesis to kick in.
So what are the key ingredients, the inputs our personal autopoiesis needs?
The core components are seen as desire, which is the energy, the motivation, creativity, which is like the water, the unique genius that flows through us, and our lifespan, which provides the space, the container for our personal ecosystem to form and evolve.
So by calming anxiety, we essentially get out of our own way.
Pretty much. We allow that natural intelligence, our own genius, to take the reins and renew the system, often in ways we couldn't have predicted or controlled.
You know, all this talk of ecosystems and self-renewal, it suggests that maybe, despite all the chaos we see in the world, there's some kind of fundamental safety underneath it all.
It's a powerful idea, and that final anecdote in the sources really drives it home. The one about Adam.
The sun with neurodivergence.
Yeah. He was listening to these recordings, the radio emissions from the planets, the sounds captured by spacecraft like Voyager.
Okay.
And when someone asked him what message the planets were sending, what they were saying, Adam just replied, very simply,
Yeah.
that we're safe.
Wow. That's quite profound, especially when you look at the state of the world, the iron cage, the climate crisis. Safety doesn't always feel like the message we're getting.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
But the sources suggest maybe we need to reframe this whole moment. They even propose that humans, collectively, are like the Earth's neocortex.
The thinking layer of the planet.
Kind of. A thin, highly active layer with this incredible collective capacity to wake up, to become aware.
And didn't Paul Hawken, the environmentalist, flip the script on climate change anxiety?
He did. He reversed the usual thinking, which is global warming is happening to us. He suggested thinking global warming is happening for us.
As an invitation, a catalyst.
Exactly. An invitation to innovate, an alarm bell forcing us maybe to finally move out of that constricting anxiety spiral and fully into the expansive creativity spiral. The path out of chronic anxiety, ultimately, is this shift from fear to genuine curiosity.
And it keeps stitching together those pieces of our own unique sanity quilt.
Yeah. The choice is always there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let anxiety shrink your world down into that iron cage, or let curiosity expand it into a thriving ecosystem.
So we'll leave you, the listener, with this final thought to mull over. If the major crises we face, climate change, economic instability, whatever feels most pressing, if these are actually invitations for humanity's neocortex to awaken and innovate, what unique solution might your own self-organized creative curiosity invent once you choose inspiration over anxiety?